Hello, everybody. My name is Deb Coviello, the drop-in CEO, and the best advice I ever received was, don't change, Deb. Just be yourself.
I love that. I love that. It's so hard to do though. So Deb, when did you learn that, and did you take it immediately, or did you say, that's dumb?
Well, I said that's dumb. No, no, seriously. I got that advice like 10 years ago. It was with a mentor that was getting ready to leave the organization. I said, give me some great wisdom here. I want to advance my career. What should I change? What should I do? And he says, Deb, don't change anything. Just be yourself. And it was like, okay, it made sense. But with all the pressure of trying to be this and be that in the organization, stubborn me didn't listen. But now it makes all sense. So should have listened to that great advice. Now others should listen to their mentors as well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so two pieces there. One, listen to your mentor. And secondly, likely what we already have inside us is all we need to be successful. We just have to trust it, right?
I know. And again, I'm from that latchkey generation. I can do it myself. Don't tell me what to do. That I was always so stubborn. But you know what? I am now starting to pause a little bit, listen to what people have to say to me, maybe not directly, and just think about what they say, because maybe they're just giving me a gift. They're giving me some advice because they care about me, and then I'll run with it. So keep it coming. I'm looking for advice and some words of wisdom from anybody.
Cool. Well, today it's your turn to share some words of wisdom. As the drop-in CEO, this is really interesting to me that you're going to share a bunch of stuff here about quality and operational excellence, as well as how you've navigated through some of this crazy stuff. So, was this like your first career? You always been an OpEx and quality, or what? Take me a little bit through your career and how you got to where you are today.
All right. Well, started out as a geeky STEM science and technology professional, started out in biology, said, don't want to be a doctor. I'm going to go into engineering so I can get that high paying job. And you know what? At the end of the 80s, I'm going to be dating myself. Yes, there were a lot of high paying jobs, paid the bill, got me on this great career. And then, got that fantastic job. I was the head of quality for a major organization. I also had the head of operational excellence. As you can see, I've been primarily in the manufacturing world. I love creating nothing or something out of nothing. But then I hit a wall. I said, I'm not the smartest person in the room. I said, I'm much better at removing barriers and leadership and helping others to reach their potential, giving advice like that mentor that I should have listened to a while back. And then I spun off, left it, and then said, I'm going to start my own business. I can help others doing the same exact things, doing it on my terms. And then I found myself lost, really lost, because I said, how do I start a business? What's networking? What's my 30-second elevator pitch? What's my market? Who do I solve? Yada, 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 all of that stuff. And then I came upon this podcast host that says, Debbie, tell me what you do. And I said, I'm like the drop-in CEO. I drop into situations for many, many years. And now with clients, I drop into a situation like a drop-in CEO that I knew in the past. I assess the landscape. I partner with the business leader. We fix the business problem, OpEx, quality, whatever, and elevate the people because they have to hold on to this thing that you fixed. Hence the drop-in CEO. And I didn't own it because I said, wait, I've never been a CEO before, even though I've been a senior business leader of a major organization. But you know what? It was the mindset thing. So as soon as I got over myself, which was another piece of advice, the drop-in CEO brand was born as part of Illumination Partners. So that's the short story, but happy to share more. Yeah.
Wow. So that's very interesting. There's so much there to unpack. Wow. So let's unpack a little bit of that.
Absolutely.
So first, I think it's fascinating that that imposter syndrome hits you, right? Oh, not me. Nope, that's not mine. Nope, I haven't done that. So talk to me about that. I mean, Deb, because I'll tell you, lately, just personally, that I've struggled with that because I'm like, well, I've never carried $10 million worth of quota. How do I get to lead a team of 10 million people? Right? I don't know that that's possible. So talk to me about that. How did you overcome that?
Okay, well, just like AA, I'm a recovering imposter syndrome person, but I challenge that because, the only person holding yourself back is yourself. But, to go to my other mentor, get over yourself. That was the other piece of advice I received in the last couple of years. Thank you, Peter, for that advice. Get over yourself. When I left corporate and I said, how am I going to start my own business? I started reading, podcasting, exercising, etc. And then I realized, you know what? I'm the only one that's saying, I can't, I haven't, I don't, I've never. And then as soon as I realized, I said, just stop it, Deb. Just stop it, Deb. All you have to do is learn something new. So I started networking. I got my first 3 clients in the first 6 months, and it was all because of networking and having the bravery to stumble over my words. And eventually I landed on that 30-second elevator pitch. It first starts with just believing in yourself, saying, you know, I was good in corporate. I was good before, and I will continue to be good again. I just have to be able to get my voice out there and let other people know. So a little bit of soul searching. I got a husband that I should probably be paying royalties to help me get over things, but it just takes a little bit of that mindset shift and get rid of the N apostrophe T in your vocabulary. Get rid of it.
The N
And
apostrophe.
the int. I
Oh,
can't, I won't, I've never.
ah,
Get rid of that. That's the first thing you have to do. Just say, well, I can, I will, I should, I may, I'll try. Get rid of the N apostrophe T. There's no room for it.
that's great. I love that. That's simple. We can do that. So, how do you do that though when you're not a people person, right? If you're not a networker, I mean, you said you come from STEM, and yet I read your bio and I read your mission, and you're all about the people. Come on, Deb. Engineers aren't all about people, are they?
Well, I'm not the average engineer. I'm Deb Coviello, the drop-in CEO. But here's what it is. You think that you can't network, but we got this going on here. So obviously we can network, we can have a conversation. It's just about being comfortable with yourself and being an engineer looking for the data. How can I connect with that person? Where do we align up and some things like that? Really, you know what? I'm a couple different people. I am a Gemini, dual personality. When I was a child, you couldn't shut me up. Talk, talk, talk. The teacher said, can you just keep her quiet? She's getting a little bit disruptive. And so somehow over time, I lost my voice. I said, heads down, be a good girl, study hard, get my science and engineering degree, and let me solve the world's problems. And every time I would speak up in society, somebody might not like what I said. So I got quiet again. And you know what? I left corporate. The best thing that ever happened to me is started my own business, started my own podcast, The Drop-In CEO. And you know what? I love speaking, communicating, sharing, exchanging, enriching, and lifting. So, yeah, engineer by training and practice, but I don't know, maybe media podcast host for the long term. So
Cool.
I think people just need to embrace the fact that don't be labeled. Just because somebody labeled you as a STEM professional, introvert, don't own that. Just find your voice.
Ah,
Somebody will want to hear it.
that's great, right? So
Yeah.
people want to hear your voice. Absolutely. I dig that. That's that gets back to your first bit of it, right? Kind of get over yourself, right? This is not, I'm not teaching to me here. I'm teaching to somebody who might want to hear my voice, somebody who needs to hear what I need, what I know, right?
And I'll tell you that mentor. So I used to push the button on LinkedIn and do a video, and I would say, hello, my name is Deb Coviello from Illumination Partners. I'm here to talk to you about a blah, 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 blah. And so I showed up as that geeky STEM professional authority. And then when that mentor said, Deb, get over yourself, Peter Gorel, thank you. All of a sudden I said, just be yourself. Oh, the mentor from 10 years ago, be yourself. So the hair is not perfect. The smile's not perfect. But you know what? If you got something to say and you really enjoy it and sharing with others, just show up. Just show up. And so this is more of who I am. And I think people are finding more value and resonating with people. People want a person to talk to, not just a talking head.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And those videos are super important. So we're going to take
Yeah.
a quick break here. I'm going to talk about email because it's not dead, right? But it sure can be boring. So let's jazz it up a little bit. Let's, instead of sending those boring, lame emails, let's instead use Vidyard. Use Vidyard to record and send those sales videos, those connection videos, those networking videos to connect with your prospects, move those open opportunities along, and to close more deals, make more money, get your voice out there. So how does video work with Vidyard? Well, 3 quick ways. One, you put on face your name with video. Deb talked about this, right? Hold up a whiteboard, record your face, your screen, or both. for those first touch prospecting videos so they know you're talking just to them. One of my favorite things to do is to repeat back a key takeaway I learned on the previous call or that I learned via research and share it back with them by writing it along with their name on the whiteboard so they know it's just for them. Secondly, if you've got a sales team, share your team's videos using the outreach tools you use every day. Pull together the best videos from shared libraries your team has created in a curated playlist for each opportunity you have and learn from each other. Third, keep track of which opportunities are engaging with those videos so you can follow up at the exact right time and know what's resonating. Check out the stats, see who's watching, see how long they're watching, and integrate this into your CRM so you can see how video drives your sales pipeline development for you and the sales team. So if you're looking to get started, sign up free at vidyard.com/philgerb. That's vidyard.com/PHILGERB. Because these stinking long promo codes of XY5736B, they don't work, folks. Instead, Vidyard makes it super easy. Again, you can go to vidyard.com/philgerb to start using it completely free. As a bonus, get their high conversion virtual sales playbook. That's vidyard.com/philgerb so you can get yourself on video. So Deb, tell me, how many times did you have to go live or to have a podcast conversation before you finally hit publish?
Meaning finally doing my own podcast?
Yeah, do your own, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I had been doing videos from February of 2020 to finally recording my first podcast episode, November of 2020. And you know what? It was a matter of just push the button, hit record something for 30 seconds, get it out there, get it in and out, and give somebody something of value. But podcasting, oh my, that is something quite different. You are really putting your voice out there, and it needs to be something valuable and resonate with your people. And the crazy thing is that there I have my solo written. I haven't pushed the button. I just get off the phone with somebody who I was a guest on their show. And I say, hey, I'm just really excited about this podcast that I'm going to do, but I just can't push the button. And she said, what's holding you back? And again, just me. So having the right person show up on your life, sitting on your shoulder and says, what the heck are you doing? Why are you holding yourself back? At that moment, I said, okay, I can do that. We got off the phone. I hit push record, recorded my first solo episode, and the rest is history. About 137 episodes released just this week. So excited. And you know what? I'll keep doing it as long as people want to hear my voice and the great people I bring on the show. So it's about getting over yourself and just push that darn button. Nothing to lose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's, and a lot of times, isn't that a lot like leadership too, right? Isn't one of our blind spots that we need to just push the button and just move forward in this?
Yeah, I talk about that a lot in my book, The CEO's Compass. It's really, first of all, you got to start with your own mindset. As an engineer, we are groomed to be perfect. People's lives, decisions rely on perfect data. And so that's how we're trained and that's how we communicate. And so we're groomed for perfection. And so it's actually then a detriment when it comes to leadership. And so leaders first have to be able to find their voice. They have to find their purpose. And how am I going to lead this organization? A quick story here. I wasn't always very successful in my roles. But, and I even write about this in the book, I was probably the last region in my particular company. I went to a contemplative place. I said, it's not what I'm doing. There are smarter people on my team, but I need to work on myself. What do I need to do differently as far as my leadership? How am I going to lead the people? How am I going to help the people? And then move forward. And only what I'm going to do with the people was what was important. So again, moving from engineering to being perfect, I just have to start doing something. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the results and I may be out of a job. So you have to transcend that abyss of perfection is not what's going to get you there in the future when it comes to leading in organizations. It's good enough. And how are you going to remove those roadblocks and guide people? People will forgive you for the few mistakes you might make.
We don't have to be perfect as leaders, Deb, but now you tell me this. Holy crap. Like, I could have learned this 25 years ago when I was starting out leading. But now we know,
it's funny. It's funny. They don't coach and mentor you these things. Then all of a sudden you have to take these self-help courses that they say they'll guarantee that you're going to make six figures, X, Y, and Z in this time frame. But at the end of the day, I just wish I had some people along the way that says good enough is just fine. And so that's one of the messages I give to emerging leaders that don't have mentors, or even those entrepreneurs that get stuck. Don't worry about the shiny business card or the perfect PowerPoint. Get out and network and say what you think and find the people that it resonates with. So, oh, I love that. Good enough is just fine. Otherwise, you're never going to get anything done. You're going to be sitting home during a crisis or pandemic and say, where are my customers? You got to be out there.
Wow. Wow, that's great, interesting to do. So powerful to do.
Thank you.
So let's yeah. So let's chunk that a little bit more here. You talked about the CEO's Compass, your book, your guide to getting back on track. So first, Deb, I got to know, how do we even get off track before and know that we're not on the right track? How do we know?
Thank you for that question. The CEO's Compass, your guide to get back on track. It's one of those things where you know it. You don't have peace of mind. And that's the northernmost compass point I talk about. Peace of mind is your true north. Just like when you watch your children or a nephew or something, when you see them after throwing a ball at them or teaching them how to play ball, and then finally they make the home run. You have peace of mind knowing that you've left your legacy and impact on somebody in the future. It's the same thing with leaders. You know it in your gut when you don't feel on track. You're working a lot of hours. Yes, you're performing a transaction. Your people are heads down doing the work, but it's not sustainable. You have the same problem over and over again. You've never truly achieved peace of mind where everybody is working along side by side and ultimately achieving an outcome like being the customer's favorite, not necessarily number one, but being the favorite of the customer. Think about it. You might get an actual different result from your team when they think about something greater. So the CEO's Compass, I find, is the perfect tool, and I lived it. When you're going through rapid change, you may be a superstar, a rock star. That's why you're in the position as a CEO or senior business leader. And then the environment changes. You didn't change, the environment changes. You're acquiring a company, you're downsizing, and one of your senior leaders has left. The market has changed, you've lost a new customer. Those are the times that the CEO's Compass can help you get back on track. It's not a 5-10 step approach, but you've got 7 compass points to navigate around and pull on 1, 2, or 3 of them through the questions, through the assessment that I have in the book to help you get back on track. And I feel so excited about this because it's a little bit different than some of the other books that we put out, but it's my guide, it's my compass that I want to hand and share with senior leaders.
Wow. Wow. So
there's a lot of wows in this conversation here.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you're saying things that I don't typically hear, right? I do a lot of these interviews, Deb, and typically I hear, hey, it's this or it's that. And never have I heard peace of mind is your true north. Never have I heard that. That's so interesting, right? That does guide us if we really think about that, right? Can I sleep at night? Am I doing what's right? I mean, that's so interesting to hear that. I mean, I read, years ago, Finding Your North Star, right? Long time ago. And I think about that. And I think about peace of mind being very different than what guides a lot of organizations, right? It's shareholder value, or let's take care of our customers. But the things you've said, they are wow, because they are different. They're not the same that I've heard. So let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that peace of mind and how that gets us off track, because being a customer's favorite is very different from being the best. Is that where we have to focus? Is that where we start, or is that later on?
Well, those are really the outcomes, but it's about where you start. So if you're a typical organization, say we're going to have 99.5% service, on-time service, we're going to be, 99 whatever in terms of quality, or we're going to have the largest market share. When you say that those are the results or outcomes that you want, people will say, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z to get there. People heads down, they achieve the goal, you high five, and then you think you're successful. The difference is if you said, I don't care about being number one. I just want to be the favorite. The favorite is the person that we may not be number one in market share or quality, but we are the ones the customers come back to time and time again to help them out of a jam. We may not have had the best quality, but they know we've got their back and we're going to help them get out of whatever the situation is. It's that loyalty. And so when you ask your people on your team, what do we need to do to be the favorite, to really be a trusted partner and loyalty? And I didn't mention any numbers in there. People come with their creativity and ideas rather than heads down and doing a transaction. People heads down doing a transaction is all you're going to get. They don't come with their minds. When you say, I want peace of mind, I want to be the favorite, you open up their minds, you lockstep and bring people along, and you get a different outcome than just a result. It's very, very different. And I have stories when I've seen and felt that myself, what it looks like to have peace of mind in an organization. But you just captured another snippet here.
Yeah, well, so it's right. So you asked this, right? What do we need to do to be the favorite? What do we need to do to be the trusted partner and to have that peace of mind? That you said that, and I'm glad that you have some stories. I knew you would, right? But I want to hear some of those because that in so many ways that seems very abstract, and yet I know you're going to bring this in for us because so many miss the fact that doing these things actually happen. Not just, hey, this is nice pie in the sky Pollyanna, but really happened. And coming from an engineer, right, that's going to have a lot more than coming from Captain Woo Woo here. So tell me some of how this has happened. Give me some real examples, please.
All right. So we may want to improve our quality, reduce defects when it comes to shipping product to a customer. I used to work in the flavor industry. I still work in the flavor industry. So we mix chemicals up to achieve a certain particular flavor or profile, and then customers will put them in their Coke, their Pepsi, their Frito-Lay, etc. We were doing a training video. I was interviewing and filming the supervisor, explaining the importance of a particular process. You pull this crank, you turn this knob, you pour this ingredient in this fashion so we don't ship any defects to the customer. And while we were doing it, the operator starts inching their way into the video camera. And the next thing we know, they're there in sight, and we say, hey, do you want to be filmed for this training video? And the operator said yes. And so when we took the video of that person and they started saying, I do A, then B, and C, because if I don't do that, I'm going to ship a defect to my customer. And this is why we do it this way. Talk about a wow when you see the person on the front line closest to the customer not only knows what to do, but why it's so important and to preserve brand loyalty. Immediately, you sigh, and that's peace of mind because you know all the hard work that you've been doing, the employee, the child, the nephew, etc. They get it, and they're going to carry the torch going forward. That's one example of peace of mind.
Wow. Knowing not only what to do, but why we do it definitely changes the conversation. As I'm looking at, organizations, often they miss their why. I worked in education for a while, selling software. And our whole why was we were construction workers so that teaching them safety so that their cranes didn't fall down. And the best example that I was ever able to give was we had a grocery store being built across the street from us. And I shared with them all the different roles that we impacted based on that and how if we didn't train the different construction workers, not the people inside the grocery store, but the people outside building the parking structure, building the building, right? Building the bakery piece, all of that, that if they weren't trained, they might do it unsafely, even though they didn't want to. And it changed the game because we showed them the why. And I love that example for you that came through so strong on that. So give me one more example of how that might happen, please, Deb.
So I'm not proud of this story. We had a major quality defect with a customer. We had to go visit them at their home office, I being the head of quality and two of my technical experts. So we went there. We knew we were going to get a tongue lashing. We delivered the information. We explained our rationale for how it happened, and what are we going to do to correct it going forward, and the reason why we flagged it as a significant issue. And it actually resulted in product coming back from the market. It caused a lot of disruption. But at the end of the day, as we're sharing the story and what we did and why we did it, because there was a chance we could have just let it go, maybe not said anything about it, maybe nobody ever would have noticed the defect. But we chose to speak up, and we explained this to the customer. We got our tongue lashing a little bit, And then when we were done, we said, you know what? We agree with what you did. If it was us, we would have done the same thing. So talk about a terrible situation, but being transparent and just showing your values about doing what we did in the best interest of the customer. We built trust. We continue to do business with them, and we continue to be a trusted partner. That's peace of mind.
Wow. Very different
Yeah,
than being number one. And
it
yet
is.
much easier to get repeat sales, much easier to develop that trust. Now, that doesn't say you can be reckless, to be clear here. Folks, if you're listening in, right, the best way to be a trusted partner and the favorite is not by being reckless, but it does mean sometimes you got to eat your crap. You make a mistake, you got to fix it. You got to be better, and you got to own it. To your point, Deb, I love that. I think that's so important. So as we're getting closer to wrapping up, talk to me a little bit about that lost feeling that some of us get that prevents us from actually standing in our power and saying, well, you know what? Nope, this doesn't give me peace of mind, but I don't really care. I'm going to do it anyway. How do we own that and then move past it?
So that's a great question. And you know what? Sometimes they teach us, and I'm dated a little bit, don't let them see you sweat. Put on a professional face. But nowadays, if we don't respect that sunken feeling like, oh shoot, that was just, I can't believe that happened to me or to them, etc. You know what? Just stay there for a few minutes. Just acknowledge it. Go for a run. Go get some chocolate or something like that. Just be in the moment and say, okay, it is what it is. The key though is how fast do you move through that? Give it respect. Acknowledge it. Okay, what is in my control? What can I do now, tomorrow, the next minute? What phone call can I make? Where can I start? It's all about everything being in your control. Don't be a victim and say, oh, this happened to me. Okay, yes, this did happen to me, but what can I do? I can update my resume. I can reach out to my network. I can do something. I could just say, hey, I want to be on a podcast. I just want to start talking. I can do something. And then as soon as you start that forward momentum, you get from that place of being stuck to doing something. So I've had to do that a lot.
Yeah, for sure, right? That law of action really works. Do something, move forward, get some sort of energy going
Yeah.
so that we can get moving in the right direction.
I mean, I've been downsized from companies. I've come home and said, hey, honey, guess what happened? And then I'll say, how many phone calls have I made to recruiters? And my resume is already being updated, and just move on. So can't
There
keep
you
me
go.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, not more of a pity moment than a pity party, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you can have the pity party, but just then the next morning wake up and just, okay, what can I do now?
There you go. That's funny. I dig that. So cool. So the CEO's Compass is coming out soon. It's not yet out. You said there's 7 tips inside there about finding your true north, right? And finding our peace of mind and how that helps. So give us one maybe story or example or point that was the most surprising to you when you wrote the book.
So this comes from direct experience. People talk about in the STEM, the engineering world, the quickest way to solve a problem is assemble a team, and we'll address the people, the process, and the tools or the technology. I was part of an integration where we acquired another company, and it was so critical to get them on our system, our tool. And you know what? I said, wait a second, what about the people? What about the people at the organization that we're acquiring? Do they have the capability? Do they have the capacity? Do they even know who we are to get them on the system? And, everybody said, Deb, you're raising a nice question, but we got to hurry up and get them on the system. So they were laser focused on the technology. And one of the things I realized during this journey was understanding their past, which is culture, and understanding their pride. And I describe pride as the intersection of humanity and the intellectual property. So in addition to problem solving, people, process, tools, performance, purpose, and your why, I added to the compass the past, which is understanding the deep culture that they had before they came to this juncture where you're the new company and you're going to acquire them. And then the other compass point of pride. Unless you find out what did they do that they were so proud of, what tool or process did they create, you may not need it now. But in the heat of integration, acquiring, or bringing the organizations together, you never know. If you had spent that time getting to know that person's unique gifts and talents, you might need to pull that out right at the 11th hour to get you through the crisis. Or in the process of just understanding their past or their pride, you build trust. So fast forward. We had a crisis, but because the people knew that we cared about them and we helped them out to bring them into the integration, they had our back. We never had a quality issue. The rest of the organization had terrible problems because they didn't take the time to understand the people. They were laser focused only on one compass point, the platform and technology. And there we disrupted the customer immensely. So one of the things I bring into the compass, in addition to purpose and platform and things like that, you must add a compass point to understand the past of the people that you bring together in a team or an organization, and the pride, the intellectual property, which I say intellectual property, not subject matter expertise, to raise it to the level of business risk and something to be reckoned with and appreciated. You build relationships, you build trust, and sometimes that's what you need to get back on track. So there's 7, 8 compass points. Those are a couple that I learned through my leadership, and I now look for when I drop into organizations to see if those are buttoned up in addition to the other points.
I'd not heard pride described quite that way. I really dig that. Intellectual property, so important, so key, and such a matter of respect for folks. Wow, that's great. So, Deb, of course, if people want to get more of your insights, your podcast, and everything else, at dropinceo.com. But tell us a little bit about your podcast. Give us 60 seconds about your podcast and why it's one that people must listen to.
Thank you. So the backstory, Drop-In CEO podcast, insights and inspiration from industry leaders. So I do speak with CEOs of companies who, through their work, have raised people in the process. They're very human-centric leaders. But I also speak with entrepreneurs helping organizations. They're very interesting to me, as well as authors and speakers, because what I'm trying to do is connect with CEOs that I can be a go-to resource for all the people that I'm meeting in my network, the stuck entrepreneur or mid-career professional who needs insights to be able to unstick them. And the emerging leader is in my audience because they may not have the support systems in their organization. And there's all this free content through the podcast, the Drop-In CEO podcast, and other resources available at dropinceo.com, and information about the book launch. You can click on the wait list. I can't wait to share that story with you as well.
Awesome. That's so great, Deb. So much good stuff today. I really, really appreciate all the value you've given. So folks, obviously they can go to dropinceo.com and get goodness. But if there's one platform, if they want to ask you a question or they want to give you some feedback, where would you send them?
My sandbox, my playground is LinkedIn. I dabble on Twitter, a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on YouTube. Visit me on LinkedIn, Deborah A. Coviello. Find me. I'm the Drop-In CEO, the only one there. So I think that's kind of pithy there. And I would love a conversation. Direct message me, or you can go to my website and there's a contact field. And I would love to have a conversation, free 30-minute conversation, just to get to know each other and see if I can provide you some advice from the Drop-In CEO.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. And I'm going to wrap us up where we got started here. Folks, if you're looking for help, and you're like, oh crap, I'm stuck, I want to encourage you to do 3 words that Deb said at the beginning. Get over yourself. Find a mentor, network, do it. Chances are either you can find someone who can help you or you got what you need inside of you. Deb, thanks so much for sharing such great stuff today. I really value our time. You're the best. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Phil.
My pleasure.